Welcome back to the Birdies and Bourbon Show, everybody. We are super excited. Tom, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We understand you've been you've become a road warrior since COVID, and glad to hear that you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll be making it back down to Naples. Just real quick before we get into this thing, so for those of you that don't know Tom, he's one of he's a top 100 teacher in America. I mean, we could probably spend 2 hours going through.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
there's a lot of stuff. It's there's numbers, and it's 100 or less, and there's teachers of the year all over the place. NCAA recognitions here, champions. Excuse me. We've got first team All-Americans, etc. We'll get a little bit more into his first book, The Six Spoke Approach to Better Golf Learning, and a second one on the way. But we got a lot to talk about, so let's dig in, man. How you doing?
Well, first of all, that NCAA championship, that was in the previous century, so that doesn't count anymore. That was in the last century, so we can bypass that. I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me on, guys. I love your format. I'm not sure I can keep up with the bar behind you, Cal, but it looks pretty cool. Is this your home I'm looking at?
It is my home. I'll say it's my home office, but I'm in downtown Atlanta, and I live in an old candy factory, so it's like from 1910. So basically what that means is it leaks a lot. And yeah, so it leaks a lot. So I drink a lot to put up with the leaks, essentially. But it's expensive as hell to heat. It's expensive as hell to cool. And I'm like, well, I don't have any money left. What I've got left, I'll just spend it on bourbon. So here we go.
Now, Dan, is he confusing that stuff behind him for candy?
Oh yeah. Oh absolutely. It's what's bourbon. It's the sweet stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I got it. Okay. So, guys, Cal, I have something in common with you in terms of alcohol. We have a second home, Denise and I, in Key West, Florida, and that drinking thing is part of Key West. So I understand that thing, and I can help you with that, Cal. So if you want to get some help, I can help you with that off the air.
Perfect.
Well, I was taking a look at some of your some of the things. Specifically, I was watching. I can't say it was recently, but I was watching some of your short game stuff and chipping. I could easily be convinced to make it down to a drinking competition and a little short game practice in the way. So,
well, you'll definitely win the drinking competition. You will not win the short game part.
That's basically what I took from the article. So, yeah. Hey, 50-50 isn't bad, man.
That's not bad. In the major leagues, you'd make $25 million a year, man.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. So let's before we get into this too deep, why don't you tell people where they can find you and how they should find you and what they should know about you?
Well, I got a great announcement to make. I just got a phone call last night around 10 o'clock. I've just been named the director of instruction at a place called Crown Colony in Fort Myers. So I'll be making a move. I've been at a place called Esplanade for the last 5 years in Naples, and without insulting anybody, I'm kind of taking a step up. It's a better facility and
good for you.
A pretty exciting membership and a great practice area. So I'm real excited. So I'll start there on November 1 at Crown Colony in Fort Myers as the director of instruction.
Awesome.
I've been some great places. I've been really lucky, Cal. I was the director of instruction at Westchester Country Club in New York for 11 years, which was a perennial PGA Tour site in those days. I went to a place called Friars Head on Long Island, which if you know anything about Friars Head, it's top 20 in the world. I was there for 9 years. Moved the family to Naples, Florida about 20 years ago, and that's been home. And I spend most of my summers on the road like this one, although that's getting old for 61, so we're going to have to find something more stable for the future. But I've spent my life on the road. So the last 40 years, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of miles I've driven, but I've touched all the bases. They can find me in Naples during the winter. TomPatri.com is the website. It's pretty simple. Then, all the usual suspects, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. We're visible all those places. And we have a newsletter that's quarterly that if you go to my website, you can sign up for, and then all the information of where I'm going to be and what I'm doing is always there quarterly as well.
Yeah, and just for the folks listening, so one of the awesome things about Tom and his structure, so he has a great Instagram site, and he is often posting videos of himself, and you get kind of some clippets, but then it ends over to the more full-blown video, if you will. So great information there, great tips on your short game. Well, not only that, I mean, it's putting. I mean, you're well-rounded, obviously, and I mean, it's you're hitting on all bases. So
I'm not sure if my wife would agree with that, but but I appreciate that, Cal. Thank you.
yeah, I was talking professionally, not personally, sir.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Okay.
Just to clarify. So you're making a road. You've been on a road trip, following around your players, right? And you're in, would you say Pennsylvania, or you're heading?
No, I'm in Atlantic City, New Jersey now. I do 3 things basically during the summer. I do private instruction on a as needed basis where people can invite me to their site. I have a site in Carmel, Indiana called Prairie View where I teach about a week and a half a month every month. Great public facility, really good teaching center there. I'm a part of the Dormy Network, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah, sure.
I'm a Dormy ambassador, so I'm based about a week a month at Hidden Creek in Atlantic City, New Jersey, where I teach there, and most of my Northeast people come to me there. Because I'm in Naples, I don't know if you guys know, this is a big Midwest town, so the Indiana site at Prairie View works really well. So I kind of hit my Northeast people at Hidden Creek and my Midwest people at Prairie View. So. And then some private instruction in between that, and private schools, and some corporate outings in between. So other than that, I really got nothing to do. I just kind of hang and I drink. So that's all I do. Yeah.
Perfect. Cal's taken back. He's taken back. He's laughing too much.
Did I set Cal up? Is that the first time ever, Dan?
It is. He's taken back. I'll tell you, Tommy. It's true.
Hey, I mean, after my heart, man. Yeah. I mean, nothing to do, and you drink. I mean, what more could you ask for?
You know what we should do, and I don't even know you guys yet, but the perfect place to do one of these shows is to get you guys live in Key West. There is the best, worst golf course in the world in Key West, Florida, and Key West is a drinking town. So we should do a live thing from.
I love Key West. Are you kidding me? Yeah, so if we can go during lobster season.
There you go. Now, Cal, you're speaking my language now, dude.
I'm saying. We can lobster. We can hack. Well, I'll hack around. Dan can drive us around and hand us drinks, and we'll just drink the rest of the day. I mean, that's like a 2-day event.
How did Dan get shut out on the playing side? How did that
Well, you'll find out.
No, Dan, you're playing, man. Everybody gets to hack equally. Everybody hacks equally.
Absolutely.
No. Dan's playing for sure, but you're absolutely right. A live event in Key West? Are you kidding me? That's Well, you're going to be busy though, man. I mean, you got to head into the new course in November. I mean, that's prime time for you.
Yeah, I do. So what I do is just for my sanity, I'll get back to Naples on September 23rd, and my wife's at the Key West house now. So I'll unpack everything and I'll get organized in Naples. Then I'll run to Key West for about 10 days and take 10 days down there and just decompress a little bit. And then I usually go to Key West Thanksgiving week and Christmas week. And then I go back down there in May before I make the transition north, because that's tarpon season. And my wife is she's about a +3 with a fly rod, and I'm about a 15 handicap. So I fly fish like you golf, Cal.
Wow.
And she fly fishes like John Rahm. Plays golf. So it's pretty embarrassing, actually. I get smoked on the fly fishing side. Smoked. So,
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But it's fun.
Yeah, I was down. I didn't make it in 2020, obviously, but I was down in 2019. We made a trip down and did some fly fishing. So caught. I don't know. We caught a handful of tarpon. I mean, nothing to write home about. But I don't know. We probably pulled in 2 or 3, decent size. So.
Yeah. No, she's a stud. She's the real deal, man. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Awesome. That is great.
Yeah. Key West, I've already marked it on the calendar. You probably got an invite. Perfect. If you're your phone digging, that's the calendar invite. So let's see. I don't know. You've been playing a lot of golf, man, or you've been teaching a lot of golf. Excuse me. I don't know do you get a chance to play much when you're on the road, or is it?
I do. I've played more golf probably in the last. Let's be accurate here. The last 18 months probably than I have in the last 3 or 4 years, because with COVID, one of the things people want to do, they want to get on the golf course more, and they've taken more playing lessons. And the other thing that's been really surprising, because I didn't realize this before last year, the site in Indiana, Indianapolis is on the far western side of the Eastern time zone, so it doesn't get dark till 9:30 at night during the summer. So I get done teaching at 6, and I got 3.5 hours. I don't know a soul in town, so it's been actually great. Yeah, it's been great for me. It's been really great. I've really gotten to get on the golf course a lot more in the evenings and play some golf and practice a little bit again and put the game back together a little bit. And it's showing. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. So you joining Phil on tour anytime soon?
No, I don't think we should talk about Phil because that'd be a bad topic for me. I'm not a big Phil fan, so we shouldn't probably go there. But no, I don't want to join Phil, and no, I don't play as well as Phil. Phil's one of the greatest of all time, obviously. But
sure, certainly.
But it's gotten bad. I've had it under par more times in the last 2 or 3 weeks than I've had in a lot of years. So it's been fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, been good.
Awesome. So the new course you're heading to down in Florida, you're familiar with it, I'm assuming, like very familiar?
No, I'm not. I'm not actually. It's kind of a strange thing. The fellow who just became the GM there last year is a PGA member who's a buddy of mine, and it's by reputation a really nice place. And I actually did my homework. I was all the guys in the area that I know that have been there, PGA members. I said, guys, what kind of place is this? And they've all given me the thumbs up on it. And the kid who became the GM is a good friend of mine, and he's a good player as well. And he's obviously he's prejudiced because he's the GM there, but he's bragging on it too. And I've gone online and checked out. It's a very nice place. So I'm not familiar with it hands-on, but by all accounts, it's really, really strong. So I'm excited about that, and that'll be probably like a November 1 launch for me. So I'll get back before I run to Key West. When I get back, I'm going to run up there for a couple of days and do a site tour and everything. I'm excited about that. Really excited about that.
Yeah, well, it's in Naples. I mean, it's hard to find anything that you wouldn't like. And I mean, no, it's in Naples, So
there's a lot of good spots there in that area, so it should be pretty good.
So were you in New York at all in your trip up north?
Yeah, I was in New York actually last week. I did 5 short game schools in a row in what is, are you guys familiar with Montauk Point?
Yeah.
So that's the far east end of Long Island.
Okay.
There's a club just short of Montauk Point in a place called Amagansett, and a really nice little club. I did 5 short game schools there in July. I was in New York this past week with one of my junior students, who I like to brag about, Jack. I call him Jack the Whack. You guys might have seen him on my Instagram.
Yeah, we saw him a lot. Yeah.
So Jack, I started with Jack when he was 7. He's 15 now, and he just won his 7th tournament in 4th out of the last 6.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, really cool. He's a great kid, 15 years old. He broke par for the first time last week in an event. He's coming along nicely. So I just spent 4 days out there with him this past week working with him. So I've been back to Long Island a couple of times. That was home. That's where I grew up on the East End. So it was nice to get back out there a little bit. There's so many great spots out there, Shinnecock National, Maidstone, Bethpage Black. I mean, you can go on and on. So those are all places I kind of grew up around. So it's always fun to go back out there. And then one of my real dear friends from college that I played against is the head pro at Shinnecock. So I spent some time with him. So I always look forward to going back out there. And Cal, really good lobster. Really good.
Hey, I hear you. Yeah, rub it in. That's okay.
We don't miss the lobster on the East End of Long Island. We always make sure I get our share. So it was pretty good.
Yeah, nice. So what do you think about Wingfoot coming up?
So that's a place I spent a lot of time at, actually. When I was at Westchester for 11 years, Wingfoot's only about 7 miles away. And a lot of my Westchester members are also members at Wingfoot. Actually, the people I just stayed with last week in Greenwich, Connecticut, and another stop along the way, are Westchester Wingfoot people. And dear friends of mine. I was just with them, and it's just, pardon me, it's hard as dog shit. It's just the hardest place in the whole world. I mean, I think when you die, if you go to hell, you're on a 3-course you're on a 3-course rotation: the Carnoustie, Wingfoot, and Oakmont every day for the rest of your life in the tips under open conditions, and that's what you have to do for the rest of your life. It's just Wingfoot is. I've got a lot of respect for Wingfoot. Mike Gilmore, who's the pro there, is an old friend, an old junior golf friend of mine. It's a long penal golf course. It's not an unfair golf course. It's right in front of you. There's no tricks. It's not like they're hiding anything. It just says to you, come on, bring it, and you're gonna get your ass kicked no matter what you do. Yeah. So, by all accounts, I didn't get over there physically last week, but I spoke to a couple guys on the phone and guys in the area that have been there recently. It's about this deep right now.
Wow.
They're not really planning on cutting it a whole lot between now and the event.
Why would they? I mean, somebody just shot a 30 under. Okay, why would they?
And the great thing about the great and the bad thing about Wingfoot is that I love is the putting surfaces are really, really undulated and fast, and the bunkers are deep, and it's well bunkered in terms of positioning. It's one of Tilly's best golf courses. There's not a weak hole on the property. The short holes are really, really good. I mean, the short holes are really penal, and you feel like you can overpower them, and you can't. It's not a place you want to make any silly mistakes. You want to be pretty conservative in your play and just try to survive and not get your ass handed to you. It's a hard golf.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like my normal Saturday.
Yeah, it could be, Cal. It could be, especially with a little bourbon. It could be,
on the Muni course. Yeah, exactly.
It's a great driving golf course. It's a great second shot golf course, and the stuff around the greens is phenomenal. So I'd be surprised if it's not right around par. Par would be a hell of a score, and it wouldn't shock me if it stays firm and it doesn't rain. It wouldn't shock me at all if it's over par. It wouldn't be a shock.
Really?
Yeah.
So this may be putting you on the spot, but we'll give it a shot. I don't want to mention any. I won't mention any names again. That's a lie. I probably will. But are you riding current form? Because Dan and I are both pretty bullish on DJ actually showing up again this weekend. I wasn't so much on last week, but after what he did after shooting 30 under, and then he came back last week and he obviously he didn't win the tournament, but to put himself back in the position that he was in to be in a playoff, and now to go and do that 3 weeks in a row, I mean, shit, I don't know what's going to stop him, number one. Well, he'll stop himself. That's the only thing that's going to stop him. But, I mean, is that something that's going to be able to carry through just with all they've been playing and, that the schedule? They're going to have a week off. But, I don't know. What do you think? Is DJ the horse to ride through the end of the year, through the next two majors?
Well, let's talk about the Tour Championship first in Atlanta, in your town.
Yep.
I think it's really, really hard mentally 3 weeks in a row. I played for a living from 1981 to 88, mostly overseas. And these guys are playing a lot of golf in a short period of time on a lot of hard golf courses where, people don't really understand that at the end of the week, they are mentally exhausted. Listen, they're all physically in great shape, these guys. They all keep themselves in good shape. It's not so much a physical thing, although it does wear on you after a while to travel and to play. But mentally, to stay that focused that many weeks in a row and just grind that hard 4 days in a row is really hard. So conventional wisdom would say there's probably a letdown coming, but I think they'll ride you adrenaline maybe one more week. I think if you play guys like that, like Rahm or like DJ or any of the guys that are really on a little bit of a streak right now, they can carry it through Atlanta. And I know they have a little bit of a break going to the Open, but it's tough to back that up week after week after week. So, I would almost look back, and I haven't done this yet, at the last 3 weeks and look for somebody in the middle of the field that's been kind of moving steadily up a little bit and kind of trending upward. That's maybe a little bit more fresh, that hasn't been really in the meat grinder real hard the last 2 weeks. And I'm not discounting Cal. I'm with you. I'm not discounting DJ at all this week or Rahm. You can't do that. They're too good. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's somebody else that's just been trending that's a little bit further back right now that hasn't getting their face punched in. Really
they could just hit the gas and just jump ahead, right? Yeah.
Right. Jump ahead, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll reference your book a little bit, and I'll be honest, I didn't receive my signed copy yet. That's because I didn't buy my signed copy to send to you to get it signed, but I'll work on that. But
Dan got his. I don't know.
That's right.
Exactly. There you go. Hey, Dan gets a lot of stuff that I never get, so I don't know what's happened there. But so your book, The Six Spoke Approach, and it's to better golf and learning. And Dan and I were talking, just kind of prepping a little before the show, and we're really hammering on DJ or not any one particular player, but Dan and I are Spieth fans, and that guy he's got a lot of talent, and we'll drill it back and get back to the amateur golfer, the Dans and myself, and probably our normal listener. But you talk about in the Six Spoke Approach it's, you're tying in the mental with the physical and all those things. And it's, I mean, some of us just aren't that talented. And no matter how much we practice, I can get better. I may not be able to be the best, and physically I can get better. But, mentally, can I get myself into a position to where no matter what I do physically or talent level, that I just can't do it?
I think that, so I'm a really strong believer, Cal. In fact, if I didn't believe what I'm about to say to you, I would probably stop teaching the game. I think that I've never felt that anybody that came to my tee, and let me back up a little bit, that can walk and chew gum, okay, couldn't get better. Now listen, you occasionally have that person that comes to the tee that you look at them walking across the tee towards you, and the bag's on backwards, the clubs are falling out, they're stumbling and bumbling. And you know it's going to be a long hour. You know it's going to be a really long hour. But if somebody comes to you and they're somewhat athletic and they're somewhat physically fit, somewhat, and they really have desire, I don't see any reason why they can't get radically better. I mean, most people come to you with absolutely zero game plan. So really what the Sixth Book was back when I wrote it in the 90s, it wasn't so much a how to do it book. It was a how to plan to do it book. Do you have a game plan? And all I tried to lay out was, like, these are some of the areas you have to touch, and you have to touch them across the board to have a complete package and a plan that makes sense, so you can touch all the bases and really address getting better. The people that I teach that jump in and drink the Kool-Aid and do have a game plan that touches those 6 bases, guess what? They get better. Mm-hmm. They get a lot better. I had a guy 2 years ago. He's with me still. He came to me 2 years ago. Really good athlete, a former baseball player. I'm not going to mention any names, but a really good athlete. And I mean, you would know who this person is. And I just started playing the game. Was very frustrated by the game, and was probably shooting, about 105, and it was driving him absolutely out of his mind because his buddies were pretty good players. And I just said, listen, we got to sit down and develop a plan here. We sat down, we made him understand a few things. And being a good athlete, he was in good physical shape, and he knew how to train, and he was competitive. And he said, all this stuff makes sense to me. And we kind of went to work on this plan. And lo and behold, this past winter, let's say he started out as a 20 handicap, say. Mm-hmm. He's a 6 now in 2 years.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So that's pretty good. 20 to 6, 14 shots in 2 seasons is pretty good. Yeah. And listen, he had all the athletic tools, though. He had all the athletic tools. He had all the competitive abilities. He didn't have a plan. And all I did was compare how he trained in his baseball career, both offensively and defensively, to do things mechanically soundly. And he did drills in that area. I compared those to his golf situations, and he understood that. And he went to work, and he became very systematic. And he got a lot better. Now, and that's a good athlete. Now, I've also had Joe Average come to me, who said, listen, I really want to do this. I've been playing golf the same way for 30 years. I've been a 17 handicap for 30 years. And he's not a great athlete, but he's a decent athlete. And do the same thing with that guy and have him go from 17 to 10 or 12, and he's thrilled. He's thrilled, So I don't think many people address the game in that manner. They go to the range, they beat balls, they hit a few putts on the green, they go to the first tee, and they think they're going to get better. Well, they're not going to get better because they really don't have a plan to get better. Mm-hmm. So, Cal, there's hope for you, Cal.
There's hope for you, Cal.
Dude. Hey, so I knew there'd be a silver lining come out of this. Other than this $10 bottle of bourbon that I'm drinking, that is absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
I know. I could have picked a $100 bottle off the shelf. I didn't. I went with this one because it is.
Obviously, Cal, you want to give this bottle a plug, don't you?
We could. It is J.W. Dant. It's a bottle and bond. It's made out of Bardstown, Kentucky, and it is a fantastic bottle of liquor. So I'm telling you, if you can find J.W. Dant on your shelf, bottle and bond, and you like bourbon, it drinks as good as any $30, $40 bottle of bourbon that you're going to buy. And the only reason I have one is because that's all they had on the shelf.
Wow.
Now, Dan, is that a plug? Does he Do you have any skin in that game?
No, there's no skin in that game. He's actually just being serious. Yeah, no.
Is he really? Okay.
Yeah, that's and of course he's gonna with you on the show. He knew you were gonna be a great personality, and of course he has to get a WW Dan out there, and Dan doesn't have a bottle of it, and you know how it goes.
Yeah. I got.
Hey, so Tom, so you still got us?
You got you.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. So I think I mentioned it earlier, but again, just in your Instagram and where you are, and I didn't go back to look. I'll be honest to see. When did you pick up Instagram? When did you pick up the social media, the distance learning? Because a lot of people are just now doing it, right? As of March, they're like, oh shit, I've got to get on Instagram. I've got to start doing stuff virtually. Oh my God, I don't know. What am I going to do? But it doesn't look like you were that guy. It looks like you've adopted like early on, and you've been using technology to help you teach. Is that?
So I'll tell you a great story actually about this, Cal. Back in the 90s, I taught a guy who's still a good friend of mine, who was an IT guy, owns a pretty substantial IT company, and he said to me, "You got to have a website." And in the middle 90s, I didn't even know what a website was. I mean, nobody. It wasn't something golf pros didn't.
Yeah, my internet made a lot of noises when I and it wasn't the noises you're thinking about. It was
right. Golf pros didn't have websites. So he goes, "You got to have a website." So he built this website for me, and we bartered it for some lessons. And it was by today's standards, it was a very crude website, and it kind of sat out there for like 15 years, and it was kind of a couple of pages and no big deal. So about 7 or 8 years ago, 9 years ago maybe, I got a guy I teach in Naples, Richard Smith. I'll give him a big plug. He's an outgoing marketing director for Campbell Soups. And he came to me for a lesson one day, and he said to me, "That you have the worst website in America. You have absolutely the worst website in America." He goes, "We're going to update your website. You got to be on social media. You got to be this. You got to be that." I'm like, "Richard, I don't. Not only do I not know anything about that, but I don't have any time for that." He goes, "Yes, you do." He goes, "I've got a woman in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, because Campbell Soup is based in Camden, New Jersey, which is close to Philly. I'm going to introduce you to her this summer. She's going to show you what to do, and she's going to blow you up and make you visible." I'm like, I can't afford that. I mean, I can't, long story short, he takes me up to Philly the following summer. She's a wonderful lady, Candy Robbins. She has her own social media and IT company. She sits me down and she goes, "Listen, you do have the worst website in America. We're going to blow this thing up. We're going to build you a newsletter. We're going to put you on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I'm going to show you how to post things. We're going to help you with this. We're going to develop a newsletter, blah, 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 blah." Now, in the meantime, the one thing I had done that was smart is my entire career, every time I met, talked, or touched anybody, I always asked them for a business card, and I always had a Rolodex. And I started putting a Rolodex, like we all do, in the phone.
For those of you that don't know what a Rolodex is, it's there's a little like a 1.5 by 2 inch business card. It's paper, and you put it in this in like a wheel essentially, and you spin it around until you get to the name you want.
So I started putting it in my phone, right? So I got to the point where I have, let me tell you right now, to be accurate, I have 17,000 contacts in my phone.
Wow. Lord.
Okay. So she took those contacts and she loaded them. Okay. And we built this network, if you would, and we started doing posts, and all of a sudden the thing went boom, like that.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, this might mean something." And all of a sudden the phone started ringing from people that I shouldn't say the phone started ringing. It was more text messages and emails.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, how did this guy find me?" I didn't get it. I literally didn't connect the dots because I'm not really that freaking smart. So it took a while. So she basically taught me how to use social media. And she taught me that in about a year's time. And I started kind of running with it. And then the Instagram Live thing that you're talking about, Cal, that was simply, I'll tell you exactly what that was. That was actually absolute boredom during COVID. So when COVID first started, I was like, sitting around with my hand on my ass, not knowing what to do, because I shut it down in Naples because it was not a good situation. And I'm sitting at home one day and I'm playing with it. I'm seeing people do some of these, Instagram Live things that are kind of cool. I said, what if I got consistent? And I did it on Thursday nights at 8:00. And I went to my Rolodex and I'm saying, look at my Rolodex. I've got 150 people in here who are pretty well known that are friends of mine. Jimmy Roberts from NBC Sports, Damon Hack from the Golf Channel, Bob Ford from Seminole, Doug Barron on the Champions Tour, Freddie Couples is a good friend, Paul Asing. I mean, those are the kind of guys. And then some physical therapists and some different teachers. I said, what if I just have those people as my guests? And that's how it started. That's exactly how it started. It started during COVID, the Instagram live show, and then it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And now I'm a guest on Birdies and Bourbon, man. Hopefully, how good can it get? It doesn't get any better than that.
Telling you.
Seriously, right?
It's bad to look at this whole, event and exercise that's going on and say there's something positive that came out of it. But, it's, make your own luck, right? And,
think about this. I'm sitting in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. You're in Atlanta. Dan's in Charlotte, am I right?
Raleigh.
I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry, Raleigh. We don't know each other from a hill of beans. We came together tonight and are talking to X number of people that are watching because of social media. Would it ever have happened? Would it ever happen any other way? There's no way it would have happened, right?
Not that I know of. If Dan would have called you, you'd have definitely denied it.
Right. Dan, that's not true. Don't let him tell you.
It's not true.
It's an amazing medium. It's an amazing medium where you can get the people and have a little bit of fun and entertain some people and by the way, and educate some people in a really positive way and tell some stories that, who knows? I had a guy on, guys, do you know Dr. Bob Jones?
The Dr. Bob Jones.
Yeah. So Dr. Jones is a good friend of mine. Bobby Jones' grandson. He's in Atlanta. He's in Atlanta. Cal, you got to have him on. He's an incredible human being with some unbelievable stories. I called him up and said, Bob, would you be on the show? Sure, Tom, no problem. How does that happen, right? I met him. I know him personally now, but I originally met him through Facebook.
Oh, cool.
That's how I met him. I saw him make a post. I sent him a private message. I said, Bob Jones as in Bobby Jones? That's what I said to him.
Just like I said, are you talking about the Bob Jones?
Right. That's the first text. And by the way, what does he do? He answers me. And now we're in a chat. Yeah. And next thing you know, we're meeting the following April. We're meeting at the Masters. And, we met under the oak tree one day at the Masters. And we bullshitted for about an hour and a half. I fell in love with the guy. The guy's a phenomenal human being. And there's a friendship started. How does that happen? Facebook? Awesome. Seriously?
Just like this.
Right. It's crazy. It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome.
Well, it happens when you get to Key West and we're, anyway, that's what it leads to. So hold on. So you mentioned quite a few names on there in the prelude, and you got to have a shitload of stories, man. So let's let people get to know Tom Patri. Break us out some stories.
Okay. So, let's use Fred Couples. How's that? That's a pretty good household name. So
Smooth Freddie.
So we're playing in the 1980, let me get this right, 1980 Fall Preview Classic for the NCAA at Ohio State. I'm Tom Patri. That means absolutely nothing in 1980. It doesn't mean anything now. And Freddie Couples is playing for the University of Houston, and that means nothing in 1980 other than he's a college player from Houston. And he's playing in the group in front of me. I'm playing with Blaine McAllister. You know that name? From Houston. Played Freddie Houston. I'm paired with Blaine, and one of my teammates is paired with Freddie. And we were teeing off on 10 during the first round of the fall preview at Ohio State. So I don't pay attention on 10. They play. We get to 11 tee. There's a backup. 11 at the Scarlet course at Ohio State goes up this hill and goes to the left. Severe dogleg uphill, about 440-yard par 4 uphill. And there's a big tree on the corner that during the practice rounds, you can't hit anywhere over this tree. You have to up the fairway, play it straight, and then play it up the hill. And it's probably like back then, I could hit it a lot longer than I could hit it now, but back then it was probably a driver 4-iron hole up this hill. It was a bitch. It was a hard golf hole. So we got backed up on 11 tee. I'm sitting there and they're up. And I look up, I just kind of glance up to my left, and Freddie's on the tee, and I don't know who he is. And I'm looking at his shoulder line, and he's aimed 30 yards left at this tree. And I'm like, my first thought really was, what is this clown doing? What is this guy doing? And I'm looking, and he makes his swing, and this freaking thing takes off, and it clears his tree by 40 yards. It's not even freaking close.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell was that? Right? Mm-hmm. So they play 11, we play 11, we get to 12 tee, there's another backup. So I walk over to my teammate, and I go, Jackie, what did that dude have into that green? He goes, Tom, he was right in front of the front bunker. He flipped it over the bunker on the green.
Wow.
I'm back there hitting freaking 4-iron into this green. So we get done with the round, and I go to practice at the range after the round. And I put some balls down. I look up, and right next to me is this guy this guy saw an 11. And we start kind of bullshitting. And by the way, he's the same human being today he was then. That's what's so great about him. He's Fred. He's Fred. So fast forward, I got a trivia question for you guys.
Oh, no.
Who's the only player in NCAA history to play in 4 NCAAs in 2 years?
Tom Patri.
And how is that possible, though, Cal?
You took advice from Freddie Couples.
So back in those days, if you finished, I was a Division II player. If you finished in the top 3 in Division II, you got to play in the Division I tournament.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So I finished second and first and then played in 2 NCAAs.
Hey, once again, 50-50. That ain't bad.
Yeah, pretty good, right? So the following spring, the next year, I finished second my junior year at Division II, and I get to go to Division I. It's at Ohio State. And now we've met, we know each other, and we're kind of bullshitting. And that was the first time I went as an individual, and that was the first time Houston ever missed the cut, the 54-hole team cut, and Freddie made the individual cut. And Dave Williams, the coach of Houston, is pissed off, like pissed off. And I missed the 50-hole cut by a shot, so I'm on a payphone. Now, remember the Rolodex you just talked about, Cal? Payphone.
Oh, yeah. No, now you're dropping quarters in, or maybe dimes.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get a flight out, and he walks by me in the hallway of the clubhouse. He says, what are you doing? I said, I missed a cut by a shot. I'm going to get out of here. He goes, and he hangs the phone up on me, and he says, come on, we're going out to Muirfield Village to get away from Dave this afternoon to play golf. We got
Holy shit.
We got permission from Mr. Nicholas. Why don't you come with us and stay over tonight? You can stay in our room. I said, that sounds good. I'll do that. So we go out there and we play a sixsome at Muirfield. Blaine McAllister, Freddie, Terry Snodgrass. I'm trying to think who else was on that team. John Horn. Who's the 5th player? Maybe Eric Evans. I can't remember. And myself. And that's how the whole thing started.
Wow.
Right? And we've been friends ever since. But the guy hit it so far and was so much more talented than the rest of us, really. And, grip looked like this, and it kind of crossed the line at the top, and it was kind of funky, and it went high, far, and straight a whole lot, and it was pretty fun to watch.
It's amazing.
So that's my Fred stories at the beginning there.
Well, that's a damn good story. We won't belabor you with more stories tonight, but
okay.
we will in the future.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's an awesome story. But just to put it in perspective, and you were talking about, how do we wind up where we are? How'd you beat Dr. Bob Jones? But just to be in that situation, I mean, you were in a situation, you put yourself, you worked hard, you put yourself in where you got lucky, right? I mean, there's a little bit of luck involved everywhere you go. And now you wind up becoming friends with Freddie Couples just over,
Nothing.
Right. It organically it happens, right? If you just put yourself in a position. So,
I was really lucky though, Cal. So I played in an era in '80 and '81, my junior and senior year. I mean, if you look at those 2 years, Davis, Freddie, Zinger, Sluman, Dan Forsman, Corey Pavin, Mark Calcavecchia, Kenny Green. I mean, it was a pretty loaded time. When there were a lot of good players at the same time, Willie Wood, Bob Tway, all the same 2-year period. So I was really blessed because my coach at Florida Southern, although we were a Division II program, he played a completely Division I schedule until nationals. That was kind of his game plan: play against the best, go to Division II, and it looked like a cakewalk because you were so confident because the guys you were playing against were always the best. So we got exposed to everybody, which I was really lucky, and that really helped me a lot. Helped all of us a lot. So those are my friends, in those years, and when I stopped playing and even started teaching, it served me well because I was really fortunate. A lot of those guys and their coaches, who were obviously named people too, opened a lot of doors for me, and they were very kind. They were very, very, very kind to me. Whether it be Chet Cook or David Ledbetter or Jimmy McLean or and the list goes on and on. Mike Hebron, so many guys that are talented teachers today and still well known, really, really good to me. And I got the job at Westchester, and then the Buick Classic was there. So I got a lot of really, really good breaks. back to back to back. So it was pretty. I was pretty lucky. Pretty lucky.
Hey, Tom, so you were mentioned in terms of like embracing technology. You talked about your website and Instagram or whatnot. And then, through the years, we've seen technology become, more of a role in terms of, calculations and analytics and everything else with the TrackMan, all that kind of stuff. And you're teaching a lot of young players. You work with them a lot throughout their entire kind of career or whatnot. A lot of guys trying to hit the ball longer. You see Bryson out there with his ball speed. And I don't know if you saw the charity match I did last week, but it was like every single drive he was hitting, they were oohing and ahhing. It was just like Max Homa, and I think Kevin Na was out there with him. They were all oohing and ahhing about how far he's hitting it or whatnot. Are you seeing a lot of younger kids or some of your students coming to you saying, "Hey, I want to hit the ball longer"? And what do you feel about in terms of like the new technology, in terms of TrackMan, that kind of thing, and then also some of these newer trends of like I got to hit the ball so far? What are some of your thoughts on some of those?
That's actually a great question, Dan. So I've always been, no, I shouldn't say always, but for the longest time, since the early '90s, I've been a video guy,
Okay.
and I've always been a V1 video guy. V1 as a company has been really, really good to me, and I've always embraced the video technology. And I was always resistant to the TrackMan launch monitor type stuff because I thought it was, in one respect, overkill. So 2 years ago, a TrackMan rep who I'd become very friendly with in Indiana sat me down and said, "Listen, if for no other reason, from a marketing standpoint, you're getting left behind.
Oh.
From a business standpoint, you're getting left behind. You need to look at this."
Mm-hmm.
So I was always very, very skeptical and careful and scared to some degree about overloading my students, irregardless of whether they were club players, certainly if they were club players because they couldn't handle it, but even my better players, my college players, my advanced juniors, I didn't want to ever put too much on the plate. I didn't want them to get bound up by numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So Kyle convinced me to actually buy a TrackMan. So I got to tell you, when I came home with that $30,000 TrackMan, my wife was not really pleased with me. That wasn't one of our happiest nights in marriage. But I'll tell you this: 2 years later, I'm glad I bought it. I use it very carefully. I use it very sparingly. I use it when necessary. I use it in concert with video. I'm very, very guarded the way I use it. I'm glad I have it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I want to just respond to one thing you said. This past week in Chicago, what place did Bryson finish?
It wasn't that good.
Like T48 or something.
And Cal, what place did he finish the week before?
I think he missed the cut, I believe.
Okay, good. So much for that. So I'm really happy that Bryson's sitting it really far. That's really good. And I think he's a very bright guy. I think he's also borderline criminally insane. So I think you got to be really careful with those kind of experiments. And I'm going to say one thing to you, and I'm going to get myself in a lot of trouble. I might as well get in trouble on your podcast, right?
Hey, you don't have to blame Tom. Blame us. Right. Just blame us.
So I'm going to bet anybody who wants to bet me that within the next 24 months, because of something that Bryson has done to his body, we're going to see him on an operating table. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how you gain. I want somebody to explain to me how you physically gain 50 pounds of mass in the time period in which he gained it, without doing something unusual. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Something unusual.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've watched baseball players do this. We've watched football players do this. We watched another player who we will not name, who was one of the greatest players that ever walked the face of the earth, do this. If you don't think that something unusual went on there, then you're an absolute moron. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you do those things to your body, okay, and you use those protocols in your body, and you hit that many golf balls at that higher rate of speed for a prolonged period of time, something's going to go pop.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be shocked. And by the way, I've been wrong plenty of times before. I could be wrong now too. But I'll take all the wagers you guys want to make that within 24 months, if he continues down the road he's continuing on right now, that we're going to hear about a pretty serious injury.
Yeah. No. I mean, respectfully, I mean that's we've had that conversation a few times with some other folks on here, and it's that's kind of my perspective as well, is you can't make those drastic body changes. I mean, it's funny to go back and look at, some people 10 years ago and look at them now. I mean, we can look at ourselves 10 years ago and now, and we've changed, but to your point, we haven't changed in a course of, 16 months, right? I mean, it's been years and age that's done it, not kind of force, right? I mean, sometimes in the morning I may be a little red or sweat a little more, but that's because
that's with that glass, right? Exactly.
Yeah. And that's just, a few hours.
Right.
So
Now, Bryson's not using the same protocol you're using.
That's true. And I never stop at 6.
Okay.
I mean, why would I?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, Tom, we're just glad you didn't get hooked on those milkshakes when you went to Muirfield back in 1985.
Well, if I stand up right now, you'll see I am hooked on those.
Oh, good. No, actually, we're in the same camp as you with regards to the Bryson comments, and it's interesting we see now, and you mentioned, look at guys, what they go through. Look at somebody like a Tiger, back in, the early 2000s, he was bulkier, or whatnot. He was pushing the envelope, and now he's swimming a ton. He's playing a ton of tennis. He's 175 pounds. Look at Gary Woodland. He lost 20 pounds. I mean, you can only keep that stuff on for so long before something goes wrong.
I just think the thing that's different now, Dan, than when I played was these guys are swinging the golf club at a much higher rate of speed. We're getting much better athletes coming to the game than when I was in the game. We're getting bigger and strong. We're getting the guy who could be the high school quarterback coming to the game. We're getting the guy who could be the point guard coming to the game. We're getting the guy who could be the off speed or fastball pitcher coming to the game. I didn't have those guys at my time. So now we're getting these great athletes that are physically strong. Okay, they're getting stronger and swinging the club faster. And they're hitting thousands of golf balls a week. Well, the lower body and the back is not designed to do that. It's not designed to take that. And then when you start putting more mass on that body and more mass on that frame, and you do the same things, something's going to give. Good. I'm sorry.
So is that tough? Like, I mean, in where you are, and with your coaching, and for and we do have other coaches that listen. But is that a challenge with, when I'm coming to you? So what if I do come to you with a game plan, and I don't shoot from the hip all the time? I mean, maybe 90%, but there's that 10%. I could come to you with a plan and like, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm passionate about. I mean, are you ever like, that's probably not the best plan for you, and we need to sit down and think about this and go a different direction? Or maybe it depends on what level that I'm at and where we are. So
Cal, if you're one of my here's where I lose clients. If you're a junior player or a college player and you come to me with that type of plan, we'll just call it, for no other reason, we'll call it the DeChambeau plan.
Yeah. All right.
And you come to me with that in your head. I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy, because I'm very concerned about two things. And here's what's a little different about me with my kids. This is the order in which I care about my kids, and I'm developing them. They have to be educated. I mean, they have to go to school. They have to go to the right school, and they have to go to a good school. They have to be and act a certain way to people around them, okay? And then they have to be a good player, okay? And that's the order we go in. And if you're a smart ass or you're a dumbass, or you want to be a smart ass or a dumbass, I'm not your ass, okay? So you can go somewhere else. So I've lost and I've turned away some really talented people, because I didn't want to do some of the things they wanted to do, or they didn't want to behave in a manner that was appropriate. So I at 61, I don't need any horse shit. I don't need the over the top helicopter parent. I don't need the kid who's a smart ass.
It wasn't a fit for you, and you weren't going to benefit, and they weren't going to benefit. So why move forward?
It's not going to work. So. I pass on that kid. Now I've got this kid Jack the Whack right now is a superstar kid. He's a superstar human being. He's a superstar student, and he's becoming a good player. So it's a good fit, And he's got great parents, and they're grounded and they're not over the top, and they're not unrealistic about where this is going or how fast it's got to get there. So it works. There's not many kids like that. There's not that many like that out there right now. So. I pass a lot now. A lot.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing him progress for sure. Yeah, it's a good progress you've made. He's made, and then that you guys have made together.
Yeah,
it looks like
great
just social media. So
and absolutely killing it, just bombing it. Just I mean, he looks a little bit. I said this to him this week, and he kind of laughed at me. But the film bore it out. he looks a little bit like Finau in the backswing. He's a little short and quick in the backswing. He kind of puts it right there on playing a little bit 3/4.
Yeah.
He just rips it. It's kind of fun.
He's probably got the Finau videos pulled up and watching them.
He's tuned in now. Yeah, he's definitely tuned in.
Well, what is your drink of choice, Tom?
Oh,
let me hold on, Tom. Before you answer, I'm going to ask a question and then ask Dan's, because we do like to get this from everybody. Are you a VNT guy or a GNT guy?
I don't understand what that means. Help me.
All right. Are you a vodka and tonic guy or a gin and tonic guy?
I'm neither.
Okay. That is not a bad answer.
Okay, so here's the deal, and I'll be really honest with you guys.
Yep.
So I might go the whole winter in Naples and maybe have a couple of drinks the whole winter. But if you take me to Key West, I look like Cal.
It's like spring break, eh?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I can go down there for 2 days or I can go down there for 2 weeks. But as soon as I get to the water and get to Key West, the whole deal changes. So to answer your question, Dan, I drink usually Canadian Club,
Okay.
or I drink wine. But
Okay.
usually my alcohol of choice is Canadian Club and 7-Up.
There you go.
And I only like to have, when I'm in Key West, I only like to have 7 or 8 of those at a time, and then I like to take a nap.
There you go.
It's a good number. It's a good number.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know why Key West does that to me, and I love doing it there. But
It does it to everybody.
But I wouldn't do it in Naples. I could go to a restaurant in Naples and sit down with Denise to have dinner, and not have a drink, and not think about having a drink. But if I go to Key West and sit down, I'm definitely ordering a drink. It's like Sybil, man. It's like these two personalities that are like, it's scary. It's scary.
It's like Sylvester Stallone and Over the Top when the hat turns around, the switch is on. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the Hemingway factor. That's what it is.
It is the Hemingway factor.
Yeah, that's possible. Maybe it goes to Ernest. That could be. Yeah. So.
Tom, I don't have any. I've got a lot to close out with, but we've kept you on for quite some time, so I don't want to keep you any longer than you want to stay on. I typically ruin my welcome well before now. So
No, this is fun, guys. I'm happy to be on. You guys are great. I'm glad we got to do this. I'm happy to do it anytime you want. I just if I say no, it's only because I'm either in a truck driving somewhere, or I'm still teaching because it's daylight out. But if you guys can work on when you record, I'm happy to do it anytime you want me to do it for you.
Perfect.
We'd love to have you back on. I mean, thanks for being open and honest. And again, I mean, this is kind of it's our virtual bar to talk about golf and spirits. So I mean,
I think anytime we can entertain people out there with golf, I think it's a positive thing. You guys are doing everybody a service by doing this, and I appreciate being on. Thanks, you guys.